Welcome to my show. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to touch base on the on ascension and really what's been taking place um, within the spirit. Um, it's very basic, but it takes a lot to comprehend. It's due to the manipulation of the spirit, manipulation of creation, um, and the symbolism and the numerical codes, um, the stuff that is in the invisible. You know, there is the good and there's the bad, and people hear of spiritual wars, but it's everything that one has heard of ancient history, and you get into the one spiritual teachings. It's difficult to comprehend because um, people go into Egypt and they talk about the Hermetic teachings, um, which were corrupted, and it being the one universal mind um, teachings, and the divine codes of Divine Mother's blueprints, and people are talking about the Temple of Mu and returning back to a timeline which we fell from. Um, it is the lifting up of Mother Earth. It's the lifting up of the Divine Mother and rebalancing creation within heaven. Because what happened in heaven happens happens on Earth. So fixing heaven and separating and removing the ones who attempting to rebuild the temple, and that goes back into ancient history with King Solomon and the demons that were building the temple, the ones and all of this stuff. So it's a deep manipulation, but it is in the sense of being reborn. But the manipulation of what people think of Christ and Jesus, and just the words, thinking that Jesus being religious, but it's people have lost their symbols, and losing your symbols. People don't have the astrological knowledge and wisdom of the universe, because it has to do with the sun and the moon and the planets and sacred geometry and numerical codes and everything like that. And so you have your chakras and you have your DNA, and this stuff is invisible, but it's something that people really can't access, because everything has been corrupted. So people talk on their kundalini and they talk on their chakras and stuff like that, but it's and then you get your people talking on their light body shift and being a star seed and being the light, and the separation from the lower realms into the higher realms. People come with a vibration. Everything is a vibration, but being born into the lower realms, really can't comprehend what the higher realms are, because if Mother Earth fell, and we were all born into this realm, the consciousness really can't be comprehended of what heaven on earth once was. So everything has been taken back. There is no more black magic. There is no more manipulation of symbols. It is the reversal. It is being reborn. But to put it into the consciousness of returning, it's having the numerical codes of what it is within to transmute mercury into gold. And that's the alchemical creation of what everyone was attempting to do back in ancient history. It's the spirit. It's it's the elements, and it's everything that comes along with what it means to create a rainbow, and which comes out of the water and the sun. But when you have your symbols, it goes like this. It's like you're born into this realm as a child, as a baby, and you don't remember what it was that took place when you were a baby, when you were born. People may have glimpses, but your mind and your spirit has been hijacked through this porthole of your mother and divine mother. So there's the micro and the macro. But when it comes to the inner journey, because it is an inner journey, because everything that what people see today outside of themselves in this realm is the fall. And the fall and everything, as all these words, fall out of the tree, Babylon, everything. It comes with the frequency. It comes with an energy that people can't truly understand. And it's the anxiety, it's the fear, it's the worry, it's the self-doubt. But it's the overmasculinity that has come into this time where thousands of years to destroy heaven, and people can't grasp how close we truly were to losing everything, and how dark the energies are. How dark the energies truly are, because people think that these energies are going through is just normal, but they don't really have, a lot of people don't have spiritual guide, and a lot of people don't ask questions about what's going on because of the conditioning and the stuff that's going on through the matrix, through the technology. And people have heard of the dark side and all the names that were given to these dark ones, but the internal stuff of going within and overcoming one's mind, there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of childhood trauma. There's a lot of past life trauma. There's a lot of trauma within the blood, and the sacrifice of the ancestors. And it's a deep manipulation amongst the spirit within the mind. And this is all, the energies of today is all darkness, over masculinity, jealousy, rage, chaos. And the opposite is love. But it comes into the mind through invisible frequencies, that where people are still connected to this trauma, this past life stuff. Even if nothing has happened to them, people, the feminine are still connected to Mother Earth, but there's a spirit that has been trying to continue to manipulate the people, and Mother Earth and everything has been fixed in the spirit, and she's protected, and the feminine are protected. But getting rid of this over masculinity within oneself, this is the Buddha path, and people have attempted to go in this Buddha path, and it's been a hijack all these years. But because if you're looking at the situation as a whole, people talk on the rainbow prophecy, people talk on stuff, they don't understand that they need to go into the meditation, go into the awakened Buddha meditation of their symbols, and understand what it is within them. Because people attempt to be like Buddha and stuff, but they go meditate, So there is an extension externally of understanding what spirit is within you, to the point of being able to express it. If you're not able to express the true spirit of Mother Earth, Father Sky, Great Spirit, the sacred waters, the alchemical recreation and the regeneration, transformation of the water and the fire within the elemental spirit of the divine, then you're not in it. That's just the bottom line. Because no one has the codes, no one has the frequencies of being able to access these realms. A lot of people have visits, a lot of people have interactions with spirit and angels and aliens, and the positive side of stuff of protecting Mother Earth and heaven. But there's the Ouroboros, there's the Sun Cross, Four Corners, the Medicine Wheel, Star of David, the swastika, and four winds, four corners, four colors. And there's as above, so below, within and without. But it's what is truly going on within you in this here and now moment that everybody talks about. What's here and now, because a lot of people just, they piggyback on stuff, and they don't really have the consciousness to get into, they'll have the nightmares, but, the 3 a.m. nightmares, but they don't understand because they're just being chased around. They can't decipher and understand their dreams and nightmares and visions, out-of-body experiences, because in these realms, it's like, all this stuff takes place when you're sleeping, and dreams and nightmares. But when you're attempting to, like during the day, people can't comprehend it, and that's where the veil's at. And it's a deep thing to travel back into the Christed energy and back into Sophia, because that's the lifting up. And it is in the wisdom of what everybody thinks of in ancient history, the Gnosis, the Logos, the egg, the serpent, the dragon, the rainbow. But it's the re-alchemization of Hermes' teachings, because we've gone back into time and picked everything up. But who's going to understand it? That's the problem, because we follow this one calendar, But it's a deep thing of re-alchemizing everything in the mama's belly, because it's in spirit. So you think about the Ouroboros and wrapping Mother Earth around and closing the door. It's a lot of stuff going on today, and these New Agers looking at Lionsgate as, something, but it has no culture within the people. There's no culture within the people of understanding what heaven on earth really is, because their DNA was manipulated. There's no knowledge and wisdom of tribes, of the frequencies of what has taken place to fix the lost DNA, because there's very specific color combinations that take place, and that's the part where all people, the only thing that people know is their basic colors, their basic chakra colors, and that, red, orange, gold, green, blue, violet, indigo, whatever. But the lower realms, and the transformation of what it is in the belly, because it's the micro and the macro. So within one's belly, there's water everywhere. And that's what people don't understand. There's water everywhere, So within the belly, and they talk about, the porthole. That's it's the invisible realm of the porthole where babies come from, and the porthole reflects all the symbols, and it reflects all the alchemy, and reflects all the elements, and reflects the perfect frequency of transmutation of only going up and not going down, and transmuting into a rainbow. The return of the Christed children. There's a golden road, and there's a rainbow road that comes out of the water. But there's what is the first color? That blue and gold create. That's green. That's the green Ouroboros. That's the sun and the water. So you're reflecting what you're seeing outside of you. In the auroras, and the emerald ray, and the heart chakra, because you're traveling up out of your lower realm. So your mind, your consciousness, understanding, what all these energies mean, because the mind gets out of control. And when the mind is out of control, the heart's out of control, and the belly's out of control. So there's three points of interest within the temple, within yourself, the lower realm, the heart center, and the mind. But the invisible, that's the part where people are attached to the invisible frequencies of the past, and it's very traumatizing, and it can be removed. But it's also the walking forward, walking in this realm of being the light in the darkness. And people are attached to everybody's frequency, everybody that they come in contact with. And that's a lot of frequency, so there is the separation, of people not wanting to hang out with other people. There's connections, work connections and relationships through work where, stuff is messed up, because it's other people's frequencies, and their frequencies are bad. So if one's trying to elevate themselves up and out, it's understanding that, you are better than the energies, and knowing that you are God's creation, and that you are in the light. It's coming back into clearing your mind, because people do the spiritual stuff, but they can't reach a certain level, because the certain level must be acknowledged in the awakened mind. Can they sit with the higher frequency? Because it's difficult. It's difficult because they've attempted to take Mother Earth down. They've attempted to destroy the feminine, and destroying them is in the lower realms. That's the sacrifice realms. So people talk on hell, they talk on stuff, but they're not in the energy. And the people must go through this energy before getting back into heaven on earth. But people have to fall. They have to fall spiritually. And with everything going on today, they're not able to, everybody's become numb, spiritually numb to situations, and they just live their life. It's, people feel like there's nothing they can do, but that's also part of not coming back together and, uniting as one. Because this is what everybody has said, reuniting as one tribe and stuff, but one rainbow tribe. But it's, how can you have one rainbow tribe if everybody is scattered in different realms? Not, different realms, different consciousness. Because people talk on it doesn't mean that they're in it. You understand what I'm saying? Because it takes the alchemy. So people say that they're elders today. People want to be elders. People want to be spiritual gurus. But they don't have the wisdom. They just regurgitate galactic stuff and spiritual stuff. But this is the realchemization of Mother Earth and the divine feminine and divine masculine. The perfect balance of the kundalinis within the Mercury, within the serpents, within the water. Dancing kundalinis. Everything that you have heard of, but you can't see. Because it's a fairy tale, just like Jesus. Everything of ancient history is a fairy tale. But people want to be spiritual, but it's much deeper. Because it takes wisdom. Because you hear of Kundalini doesn't mean you can activate it. It's the awakened mind. What are you looking into in this realm while being awake? Can you, the activation of your third eye? People try and activate their third eye in meditation, but can you walk through realms and understand these realms that are here now? Because ascending is purging one's darkness and activating your third eye and activating your mind through the knowledge and through the wisdom of coming out of the lower realms. But there's no wisdom. People don't understand that they lost their symbols. So what direction are you traveling spiritually? And that comes back into the Mayan calendar, because the people are running on this external calendar, but they have no knowledge of the internal calendar that has been fixed. And that comes with numerical codes, the 144, the 88, the 69, the number 13, the number 33, 88, 888, whatever you want, 1 through 0, 1 through 9, nothing goes above 9, because there's only 9 months in the birthing cycle. So, you got the 13th missing month of Maya's calendar, but there's nothing that goes above 13, so that is 4. It's a sacred number, which is 22. 2 and 2 is 4. 1, 1, 1, 1. 11, 11. Have you figured out the 3, 6, and 9 yet? Because we've been talking about it for forever. And people's awakening in this timeline of learning about stuff, hearing about stuff, the 3, 6, and 9, Nikola Tesla, free energy, all this stuff. But it's the spiritual side, the hijacking. Everything has been hijacked from the people. But this is people's awakening. This is the truth of people's awakening. The spiritual elevation of returning back to India. Regaining the power of all the spiritual animals that have been corrupted. Because getting into the temple means they got into heaven, means they got into all the animals. But who, what, where, when, who are these? Who are they? Is the question. Because they did all this before you were born. And you're born into this timeline with little bit of information. No spiritual information, no knowledge of ancient history. Not looking into what really matters when studying history. You know, people don't know where Mother Earth is. They don't know her consciousness. They don't know how Gaia is connected to the dragon bloodline. People say it's too far gone. The corruption. What has come into the people. Well, it's always been here, but they have rebred themselves to try and take over the world, to sacrifice the people, because they want the blood. Isn't that what they did in ancient history? Sacrifice the people, because they wanted the blood. How else do you want to put it? Because they have no water. The water is in the human. The water is in the body, in the blood. Unity, water and fire, violet flame. Welcome aboard. This is Earth School.